Welcome to the first ever Rick review. In this video, I'll be going over the game Control. This game just came out on Steam after exactly a year of being exclusive to the Epic Games Store on PC, and since I've been wanting to check it out for a while, now seemed like the perfect time. Control is a third-person action shooter with a little bit of supernatural thriller thrown in. You play as a female protagonist named Jessie as she hunts for her long-lost brother in the Federal Bureau of Control. While you're searching the building for your brother, an attack from an unknown supernatural being occurs, and you're forced to fight it off with the assistance of your own telekinetic powers. As you clear through the building, you will find projectors and files detailing what the Bureau was like before you got there and how they were involved with you and your brother. The actual story of this game is intriguing at times, but also becomes pretty predictable. The real depth of the writing is in the lore that has been built up around the Bureau of Control and the world it exists in. The game creates a really unique and interesting world that after the game is done, you kind of wish you could dive deeper in. So for the story, I'm going to go ahead and give this game an 8 out of 10. First, for the visuals of this game, I have to mention the design of the Bureau. The majority of the game really only takes place in this one office building, but it does such a good job of making it interesting and beautiful to look at, while also being dark and intimidating at times. Then there's the destructibility. The building itself isn't all that destructible, granted, but everything else is. There's so much fun to be had in just wrecking a room with your telekinetic powers. Graphically, the game isn't anything too special, but it does more than well enough to show off what the game wants you to see, and the lighting especially really feels nice in this game. So visually for Control, I'm going to go ahead and say a 9 out of 10. The soundtrack to Control really isn't super noticeable most of the time. It's kind of hushed and played down to let other aspects of the game really show off, but when it does come through, it comes through with enough significance to leave a mark. There's one level in particular where your character has to listen to music as she fights through a maze-like room full of baddies, and the soundtrack ramps up to 11 and makes the whole moment so much more badass. And in the combat sound design, they nail the sounds that coincide with all the telekinetic powers. The combat feels as good as it does because the sound backs it up as well as it does. So for me, sound in this game is going to get a 9 out of 10. Although the visuals and sound create a wonderful gameplay atmosphere, the actual gameplay of Control can get a bit boring at times. It starts off really interesting as you unlock new powers and explore new areas of the building, but as you keep running into the same enemy types over and over again, it starts to feel repetitive. The combat should be a large plus to this game, but it really just boils down to dodging projectiles and throwing your own auto-lock projectiles back at the enemies. There's a few puzzles, but they're all incredibly simple and don't require a whole lot of effort to figure out. I don't really have a whole lot positive to say about the gameplay for Control, so I'm just going to say it's a 7 out of 10. Control is a beautifully designed game with an interesting world built around it. It excels in every sensory aspect, and has pretty standard gameplay. So my overall score, which was figured by averaging the other scores together, is an 8.5 out of 10. I still think the game is really good, and it's very much worth the price. You should go ahead and check it out on Steam since it's just released there. Thanks for watching my first Rick review. If you have any suggestions on games I should review or how I can review games better, please leave a comment below. Your feedback can only make me better.